Ladies and gentlemen, the liberals are triggered again, this time over the box office success of the faith-based thriller The Sound of Freedom. Not only is the film faith-based, not only does it shine a light on child trafficking and exploitation, but it also defeated Indiana Jones at the box office over the 4th of July, bringing in $14 million on opening day compared to Dial of Destiny's $11.7 million. But as great as box office numbers are, this film isn't about the bucks, it's about the message and the mission. The liberals, they really hate that and are reacting to the film the same way they do bans on gay sex books and children's libraries, which is gross but completely on brand. But they can't come right out and say that they prefer to coddle and shield the pedophiles and child exploiters, the same people who run Hollywood and, well, their ideological cult. So instead, they've gone this route, labeling the film a QAnon thriller. Yes, these creeps really think they've managed to find a way to convince folks that child trafficking is simply a conspiracy theory.
And The Sound of Freedom does focus on a real issue of sex trafficking. But that theme, it's sort of like that kernel of truth that feeds the QAnon conspiracy theory.
In terms of child trafficking, we know trafficking is real. We know it has real victims. No one is denying that. But these films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics. They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites, and only people like Tim Ballard and only people like Jim Caviezel, and by extension, only people like the ticket buyer can help bring these trafficking rings down. So there's a very participatory element. You're not just going to see a movie, you're just killing 2 hours on a hot day. You are helping bring down these pedophile rings and save children. Now, it's not true, but it's a very comforting and it's a very warm feeling to have.
The Sound of Freedom is based on the work of Tim Ballard and his child rescue nonprofit Operation Underground Railroad, which has been saving children from sex trafficking, a very real thing, since way before this whole QAnon thing ever came about. Folks, these leftist hacks are attacking a film about child and sex trafficking and exploitation and urging you not to see it. Are you surprised? This is right on brand. This is who they are. They are maligning this film and protecting pedophiles, groomers, and evil people the same way they've covered for Epstein and his client list. When people tell you who they are, believe them. Joining me now with his reaction is host of the David Harris Jr. Show and author of A Town Worth Defending, David Harris Jr. David, it's great to have you.
Thanks for having me on, Tommy. Great to be here.
So let's get right into this. I mean, I know you heard that clip that I just played. The mainstream media, Rolling Stone, of course, the folks, and of course, the hack media, they are coming after this film full force, trying to convince us that if you are to go see this, you are participating in a giant conspiracy theory, and you shouldn't see it because then you're just feeding into QAnon. What's your reaction?
Well, my reaction was pretty outrageous. I actually posted a video that was about almost 20 minutes on the whole thing, on the Sound of Freedom, but definitely talking about the Washington Post, the Guardian, Rolling Stone magazine, CNN for having that jack nut on there. I'd like somebody from Tim Ballard's nonprofit or any of these other amazing nonprofits that hunt pedophiles. I think they should do a search of that guy's hard drive, because in my opinion, anybody that is standing up in such a way to try to dissuade people to watch the movie The Sound of Freedom, they are either complicit themselves in the same type of stuff, or they are just covering for them. And either one of those two are just as dastardly. They're just as evil. As you said, the movie is based on fact. And I've got friends. I interviewed Victor Marx. He's All Things Possible Ministries. He's been doing the same stuff as Tim Ballard for 20 years. Jaco Booyan, somebody else that's been doing the same stuff for 20 years and helping to write legislation to try to fix how the victims are treated in this and go after the perpetrators and the actual traffickers with much more of a harsher sentence than they currently do in a lot of states. This is very real stuff. And the networks for this are nationwide and global. And so for God bless Jim Caviezel and the team, Eduardo, the producers, God bless these people for being willing to put this out there. And God bless Mel Gibson and Tony Robbins. I don't know how many know this, but they actually had to buy the movie back from Disney because when Disney bought Fox, they owned the rights to the movie and they shelved it. They weren't going to do anything with it. So Tony and Mel bought the movie back and said, we just need to get this out there. So that when you've got a company like Disney, who is 100% after our children, they're after the innocence of our children. They want to pervert it. And then they want to shelf this movie. To me, what took place this last, with the opening weekend with the supposed to be box office Disney smash Indiana Jones not doing as well as The Sound of Freedom, it tells me that Americans are tired of just being entertained, especially by woke companies that hate us and are trying to pervert our children. So for CNN and any of these other outlets that are trying to placate and get people to not watch it, there's something there. They're complicit in my book.
Right.
And hopefully the American people are seeing that.
I mean, I think they're telling us exactly who they are, but it's very odd to me.
Absolutely.
Because when you look at over the last several years, right, the right has owned patriotism, the Star-Spangled Banner, the American flag. Now we're owning feminism and the integrity of women's sports, and I guess also ending the exploitation and trafficking of children. I guess that's another notch on our belt on our agenda, because the left doesn't want anything to do with those aforementioned things. Now, it wasn't that long ago that we as a nation put our ideological and political differences aside and we stood up for our country, we stood up for women, we stood up for children. But now the game board has completely changed. And as you mentioned, the fact that they're going out of their way to malign this movie is really telling. And the fact that they're trying to label it some kind of a conspiracy theory, the same way they've done everything about Epstein and the client list and the island, to me it says there's a whole lot of people here who were in the know. They know what's going on, and they quite frankly don't care because they're either a part of it or they know someone really important who is a part of it, and they want it all to go away. How successful do you think that they are going to be at making yet another story like this go away?
They're not going to be successful. We, the people, have had enough. We, the people, are tired of being lied to. It's like Jim Caviezel said, the mainstream media, they told us the Hunter Biden laptop was fake for two and a half years. They said it's fake. It's Russian disinformation. And we, the people, that watch I don't watch that propaganda, but a lot of people still believe it's truth. They're watching the news. They're believing it. And then, well, what do you know? No, it actually was 100% true. And it actually was kept from us by people in the agencies that are supposed to be truthful and honest. That were all bent and pushing one agenda, the Democrat agenda. Same thing with Trump being a Russian asset. We're supposed to believe that, he's impeached all these times. He's working with Russia. It comes out it's false. So we, the people, have had enough. We're waking up. And now when these agencies, these networks try to get us to say, don't watch this, don't pay attention to this, I think in most Americans' minds and hearts that understand what's at stake here, the future of our republic and the future for our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, it's at stake. We need to do what we can right now to shift this nation back in the direction of integrity, morality, and God. And that's absolutely, everybody should be standing up for children. And if you're not doing that, then there's something wrong with you. But I think the majority of the American people are waking up to the fact that that's what needs to be done, and they're doing it. And I think this movie is going to continue. It's just started the ripple effect that is going to continue, I think, for years to come, because we must eradicate sexual trafficking. We must.
I think it's going to be a big issue in 2024 as well. I think it's a sleeper issue that the Democrats aren't ready for, kind of like what happened with Glenn Youngkin in Virginia. I mean, that race really was won on parental rights. So I think that 2024 is going to be heavy into the so-called culture war, but more importantly, parental rights and protecting children. I know that you're really firmly in the Trump 2024 camp, but I want to get your take because over the weekend we have a lot of news about Casey DeSantis and her Mamas for DeSantis, the ad that they put out really targeting American people to understand and wake them up about the dangers of grooming of children. I'm sure you've seen the ad. What do you think about that approach, and does it impress you coming from the DeSantis side?
While I appreciate what DeSantis is trying to do, what I don't appreciate is there's several things that I don't appreciate. I don't appreciate the fact that he didn't give President Donald Trump the credit that he deserved. Trump was the reason that he became governor. He did in the beginning. DeSantis came out and acknowledged the fact that he wouldn't have won. He was tanking in the polls. Trump came out and saved his butt. What we need in this country right now, especially on the conservative side, the Republican side, is we need unity. And I believe that instead of DeSantis, I think listening to his donor base and thinking that he actually has a shot to win in 2024, instead of him listening to that, and I think choosing a selfish ambition, a personal ambition, what would have been the right thing for him to do would get behind President Donald Trump, support President Donald Trump in getting back in there, and what I believe is finishing his final 4 years, which he should have been in it right now, in my opinion. It was taken from him. I think he should have did that. So whatever he does at this stage of the game, Tommy, is just too little, way too late. He doesn't have a shot. President Donald Trump is the best candidate and the best choice for president for 2024. And, he could have maybe been a VP pick. And then after 4 years of Trump, he could have came out and said, hey, here's my time to shine. But he didn't do that. So I think he's listening to his donors a little bit too soon.
So I have to push back on you in a couple of points there, because everything that you just said about Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis being selfish, I kind of feel about President Trump as well, because after 2020, I wish that he would have kind of hung it up and said, hey, listen, I had my chance. Now I'm going to put my full power ahead of some of these other great Republicans, knowing that the media has come after me so many times, knowing that they're going to continue to come after me. So I'm going to use my position as kingmaker to go out there and get a lot of Republicans elected. So I don't buy into this whole wait your turn, be loyal thing. Yes, Donald Trump has a lot to do with Ron DeSantis and his success, especially the first time he was elected as governor. There is no doubt in my mind. I do believe that Ron DeSantis is a Trump supporter through and through and has been. But the whole wait your turn thing, that thing to me, it's like, this is America. You can run when you can run. Nobody has to wait their turn. This isn't a monarchy. But I do agree with your point that we need to come together as a Republican Party. We need to be unified, and we need to make sure we have a strong front against the Democrats. So we could talk about this and probably battle back and forth all day. But because of time, I want to get to your book because it's such an important concept, a children's book, A Town Worth Defending. David, tell me about this book and why you wrote it.
Well, I wanted to write a book that was going to, I believe, foster and encourage the values that we as conservatives and as Christians want to see in our kids. Too many adults, too many parents are seeing their kids that are part of Antifa, that are rioting on college campuses, that are wearing face masks, that are championing these anti-American values. And when it's that point in time in their life, when they've reached that place in their life, in their mind, you're not going to reach them right now. We've got to encourage our kids, the next generation, at a younger age. That's why the schools are trying to go after our kids in school. So the book, A Town Worth Defending, partnered with Brave Books to get this out. It's for kids 4 to 10, 12 years old. It's about Rowdy, the raccoon that is trying to just save his town. And there's a posse of possums that are taking out all these other towns. And Rowdy is it seems like it's an insurmountable thing that he's going to be able to accomplish. Looks like the town's going to get taken over, but it creates the opportunity for them to foster the courage and overcome their fears and appreciate what's made their town so special. And hey, the United States of America is our town, and our kids need to have the opportunity, I believe, with their parents or grandparents. Like, I'm a grandparent now, if you could believe that. I've got 2 little grandbabies. So it's a whole nother level now when we're talking about kids and what they're learning. To have the opportunity to read a book with your child or grandchild that's going to foster and encourage faith and commitment and loyalty and honor and respect of our country, and give the parent the opportunity to share what it is about our country that they appreciate so much. You just can't. That's priceless. Those moments are priceless. So there's exercises in the book for parents or grandparents to go over with their kids. And I absolutely believe that when our children have a steady diet of this, if you will, the book is free this month if you register for sign up for the Freedom Island Book Club, which means that your kid is going to get a book that'll follow them through the years, but they'll get a new book every single month. And that's what we need. We need that continual curriculum, building up our kids to be the kids that we'll be proud of when they're older. Not be the Antifa kids, not be the kids that, unfortunately, I think too many parents, including conservative parents, we just let the public school system raise our kids and weren't paying attention. That's got to stop. We've got to know what they're learning, what's in their homework, and we got to make sure that then we are also adding the type of materials, books into their curriculum that we know are going to foster those values of faith and freedom and justice.
Well, I got to tell you,
So
I would
that's
love
what
to
the book's
see.
about.
I'd love to see your book on summer reading lists as opposed to what the teachers unions are pushing, which is genderqueer. So we've got a big battle ahead of us, but people like you are making it a little easier for parents to have those resources. Congratulations on the book. Thank you so much for being with me, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Tommy. Really appreciate it. And you keep doing what you're doing. You're a powerful voice. We need your voice. And the only thing I was going to say on the Trump DeSantis thing is, Tommy, you're a fighter. And if you were president, which could be in the cards for you, if you became president, I know the fighter that you are. If it was taken from you the second time around, I don't think you'd back up. I don't think you'd say, I'm gonna hang it up and let somebody else go. I think you'd keep fighting, but that's just me.
Well, listen, I would do what was best for the country and getting a Republican, an America First Republican in that White House. That's what we all want. And hey, listen, Donald Trump's our nominee and he wins in 2024. You know that I'm going to be happy as a clam because I wish he's my president now. God bless you. We'll continue this conversation. I'm sure many times you're welcome back to have it.